On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the...
Hey, don't worry, I've been lied to.
Well, there's a young cowboy, he lives on the range.
Welcome back to the Rock Vault, where today the amps hum softly and the vinyl spins with heart. The 1970s gave us soft rock albums that weren't just music, but companions through love, loss, and long summer nights. Tonight we drop the needle on 10 timeless records that truly melted our hearts. Few albums in rock history carry the same weight as The Dark Side of the Moon. Released in 1973, Pink Floyd's masterpiece pushed beyond the boundaries of rock into something almost spiritual. With its seamless flow, experimental soundscapes, and hauntingly beautiful lyrics, it became more than just an album. It was an emotional journey. Soft rock elements threaded through the lush harmonies and atmospheric production, making it as soothing as it was groundbreaking. At its heart, The Dark Side of the Moon explored universal themes: time slipping away, the pressure of modern life, and the fragile nature of human connection. Richard Wright's warm keyboards, David Gilmour's soulful guitar work, and the band's ethereal harmonies created a sound both intimate and vast, pulling listeners into a dreamlike state. Unlike other albums of the era, it demanded to be experienced from start to finish, a single uninterrupted voyage across sound and feeling. For countless fans, hearing this record for the first time was unforgettable. Teenagers lay back on shag carpets, headphones pressed tight, as the opening heartbeat pulsed into their ears. Adults found comfort in its meditations on mortality, feeling as though the band was speaking directly to them. Even now, baby boomers and Gen Xers can remember the awe of flipping through vinyl sleeves at the record store and knowing this was a piece of art that would stay with them forever. The cultural impact was staggering. The Dark Side of the Moon spent over 14 years on the Billboard 200, setting records no other rock album has matched. It wasn't just popular, it became a rite of passage. Whether played at dorm parties, late-night drives, or in the solitude of a bedroom, the album's sound became woven into the very fabric of 1970s life. Even today, dropping the needle on this record feels like entering a sacred space. Its soft yet cosmic tones melt away the decades, reminding us of the beauty of slowing down, listening deeply, and letting music guide us through life's biggest questions. It's not only one of Pink Floyd's greatest works, it's one of the defining albums of an entire generation.
Now there you go again, you say you want your freedom.
In 1977, Fleetwood Mac gave the world Rumours, an album that didn't just define soft rock, it defined an entire decade. What makes this record so extraordinary is that it was born from chaos. Behind the polished harmonies and radio-ready melodies lay heartbreak, betrayal, and personal turmoil. Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, Christine McVie, John McVie, and Mick Fleetwood poured their fractured relationships and raw emotions directly into the grooves of this record, and the result was pure magic. From the very first notes, Rumours radiated a unique blend of vulnerability and strength. Stevie Nicks' Dreams floated with ethereal grace, a song that felt like a whispered secret shared across midnight airwaves. Lindsey Buckingham's Go Your Own Way carried fiery defiance, while Christine McVie's Don't Stop was an anthem of hope and resilience in the middle of so much personal storm. The band's ability to turn pain into harmony gave the album a rare emotional honesty that listeners couldn't help but connect with. For boomers and Gen Xers, Rumours became more than just music. It was a companion through the ups and downs of life. Listeners heard their own heartbreaks echoed in Stevie's voice, their own frustrations mirrored in Lindsey's guitar, and their own hopes carried in Christine's soothing melodies. College dorm rooms, family living rooms, and car radios across the country became stages where this album played on repeat, helping people navigate love, loss, and the uncertain road ahead. The cultural impact was enormous. Rumours won the Grammy for Album of the Year in 1978, and its sales soared into the tens of millions. Yet beyond the accolades, its true power lay in the way it became a soundtrack for countless personal moments. Weddings, breakups, road trips, and quiet nights alone. Fleetwood Mac's harmonies seeped into every corner of 70s life. The album's sleek production and unforgettable melodies gave soft rock its highest point of artistry, balancing radio accessibility with timeless emotional depth. What makes Rumours endure is its honesty. Every track, no matter how polished, carries a beating heart behind it. You can still feel the tension in the studio, the pain in their lyrics, and the love that somehow survived amidst the fractures. That's what makes it resonate today as much as it did nearly 50 years ago. Dropping the needle on Rumours feels like returning to an old diary, one filled with truths too powerful to fade. Even now, when you hear those opening chords, you're transported back to the 1970s, to the wood-paneled basements, the candlelit gatherings, the quiet nights when this album played like a confidant. Rumours isn't just Fleetwood Mac's crowning achievement. It's one of the most heartfelt and enduring albums of the 20th century.
Stayed in bed all morning just to pass the time.
In 1971, Carole King released Tapestry, a record that forever changed the way we think about the singer-songwriter era. This wasn't just an album. It was a personal letter written in melody, a warm embrace for anyone who had ever felt the highs and lows of love. With its stripped-down production, King's piano and voice took center stage, weaving stories of heartbreak, resilience, and quiet triumph that spoke directly to the listener's soul. Every song on Tapestry felt lived in, like a memory you could return to. Tracks like It's Too Late carried the sting of bittersweet endings, while You've Got a Friend radiated comfort and unconditional love. King's honesty was her greatest strength. She didn't need flashy production or heavy riffs. Instead, she leaned into sincerity, creating music that was tender, relatable, and timeless. The album's soft rock sensibilities made it accessible, yet its emotional depth gave it staying power that outlived the decade. For many baby boomers, Tapestry became the background to some of life's most intimate moments. It was the record you put on during quiet nights when the world felt too heavy, or during long afternoons when you just needed a reminder that someone out there understood. Gen X kids remember hearing it spinning on their parents' turntables, its songs quietly shaping the emotional language of their homes. Few albums capture that mix of comfort and honesty so perfectly. The impact was undeniable. Tapestry won 4 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year, and went on to become one of the best-selling records of all time. Yet beyond its accolades, it remains beloved because of the way it made listeners feel seen and heard. To this day, dropping the needle on Tapestry feels like reconnecting with an old friend, one who knows your secrets, your sorrows, and your joys, and loves you anyway.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the...
In 1971, 3 young musicians fresh out of high school, Dewey Bunnell, Jerry Beckley, and Dan Peek, released their self-titled debut, America. What began as an experiment between friends became one of the decade's defining soft rock albums, built around shimmering acoustic guitars, rich harmonies, and storytelling rooted in everyday imagery. The record captured a gentle, West Coast spirit that resonated across the world. The album's breakout hit, A Horse with No Name, became an instant anthem. Its haunting desert imagery and hypnotic rhythm evoked a timeless sense of wandering, sparking imaginations from living rooms in California to dorm rooms in Ohio. Yet America offered much more than a single hit. Tracks like I Need You and Sandman revealed the band's gift for crafting melodies that were both earnest and infectious, cementing their place among the rising stars of 70s soft rock. For boomers and Gen Xers, America was more than just background music. It became the sound of road trips, beach gatherings, and late-night talks under starry skies. Its simplicity was its strength. 3 voices weaving together like threads in a warm blanket. Fans could hum along effortlessly, and the lyrics spoke in a language that felt both poetic and approachable. At a time when the world often felt turbulent, America was a reminder of freedom, friendship, and the beauty of slowing down. The album's cultural footprint was undeniable. It soared to the top of the Billboard charts and won the band a Grammy for Best New Artist. Critics praised its breezy confidence, while listeners embraced it as a soundtrack to their own lives. Unlike heavier rock records of the same era, America didn't overwhelm. It invited. It asked you to sit back, close your eyes, and let the harmonies carry you somewhere calm. Half a century later, America still feels timeless. Drop the needle on that record today, and you're instantly transported back to an era of denim jackets, wide-open highways, and friendships that felt like they could last forever. It's the kind of album that reminds us why soft rock of the 70s continues to melt our hearts.
Hey, don't worry, I've been lied to.
By the late 70s, the Doobie Brothers had already carved out their place in rock history. But 1978's Minute by Minute revealed a new side of the band. With Michael McDonald stepping to the forefront, the Doobies shifted into smoother, soulful territory that blended perfectly with the soft rock zeitgeist of the era. The result was an album that redefined their sound and left an indelible mark on the decade. From the very first track, Minute by Minute radiates polish and warmth. McDonald's velvety voice gave the band a new emotional core, perfectly matched by the clean grooves and layered instrumentation. What a Fool Believes became the album's standout moment. A shimmering mix of jazz-inspired chords, irresistible melody, and heartfelt vulnerability. But the deeper cuts, like Dependin' on You and the title track, carried the same charm, offering listeners a soundtrack for both reflection and celebration. For many fans, Minute by Minute was the sound of transition. Boomers remember hearing it on FM radio during long commutes, its sleek production a contrast to the rawer rock of earlier years. Gen Xers recall their parents spinning the vinyl on Friday nights. McDonald's soulful delivery filling the living room with a sophistication that felt both modern and timeless. It was the kind of record that didn't just entertain. It elevated the mood of an entire evening. The album also marked one of the Doobies' greatest commercial triumphs. Minute by Minute topped the Billboard charts, won Grammys, and brought the group an entirely new audience. Its seamless blend of soft rock, soul, and jazz made it one of the defining crossover records of the decade. More than just a hit factory, it showed how a band could evolve with the times without losing its spirit. Even today, listening to Minute by Minute feels like slipping back into the late 70s, a moment when music was becoming sleeker, but still carried genuine heart. With its polished soundscapes and unforgettable melodies, the album remains one of soft rock's most enduring treasures, proving that the Doobie Brothers could move with the times while still tugging at the heartstrings.
Well, there's a young cowboy, he lives on the range.
When James Taylor released Sweet Baby James in 1970, he ushered in a new wave of soft rock rooted in honesty and vulnerability. At a time when the world felt uncertain, his gentle acoustic style and heartfelt lyrics gave listeners a place to breathe. The album was stripped down but never simple. Every chord, every word carried weight, as though Taylor were sitting in the room, quietly telling you his story. The record's title track painted pictures of wide-open highways and restless nights, perfectly capturing the spirit of an America in transition. But it was Fire and Rain that became its soul, a song about loss and resilience that still resonates 5 decades later. Taylor's warm, soothing voice became a balm for restless hearts, his melodies soft but unforgettable. Where other artists leaned on big production, Taylor trusted in intimacy, and that choice made Sweet Baby James timeless. For boomers, this record was a soundtrack to late nights in small apartments, where candles flickered and conversations stretched into the early morning. For Gen Xers, it was the sound of their parents' turntables, filling the house with a mix of melancholy and comfort. It wasn't music to dance to or escape from. It was music to feel with, to sit in silence and let the emotions wash over you. The cultural impact of Sweet Baby James was immediate. It became Taylor's breakthrough, earning Grammy nominations and cementing his place as one of the most important voices of the decade. More importantly, it shaped the direction of 70s soft rock itself, inspiring countless other singer-songwriters to embrace vulnerability and emotional truth. Half a century later, the album still feels like a trusted companion. Drop the needle, and you're transported back to a time of denim jackets, road trips, and long, thoughtful evenings. James Taylor didn't just write songs, he gave us stories wrapped in melody, forever echoing in the hearts of those who first heard them in the warmth of the 1970s.
See the curtains hanging in the window in the evening on a Friday night.
In 1972, Seals and Crofts released Summer Breeze, an album that distilled the gentle side of the early 70s into music that felt like sunlight through an open window. With its smooth production, delicate harmonies, and poetic lyrics, the record embodied the very essence of soft rock. It wasn't loud or demanding. It was music that wrapped around you like a warm evening breeze. The title track became an anthem for an era, painting images of simple pleasures, curtains swaying in the window, a quiet homecoming at the end of the day. Yet the rest of the album revealed even more of the duo's artistry. Songs like Hummingbird showcased their spiritual lyricism, while Advance Guards added a touch of depth and mystery. Together, the collection struck a balance between accessible pop charm and thoughtful folk rock roots. For listeners at the time, Summer Breeze became more than a record. It was a soundtrack for memories. Boomers remember playing it during backyard barbecues, the music mingling with laughter and the crackle of the grill. Gen X kids recall drifting off to sleep while their parents spun the vinyl, the soft harmonies filling the night air with comfort. It was the kind of music that reminded people of the beauty in life's quietest, most ordinary moments. The album was also a cultural milestone. It climbed into the Billboard Top 10 and solidified Seals and Crofts as leaders in the soft rock movement. Its polished production and heartfelt delivery helped set the template for much of the decade's mellow sound, inspiring countless artists who followed. More than that, it gave fans something timeless, music that could lift the spirit without ever raising its voice. Even now, dropping the needle on Summer Breeze feels like stepping back into the simpler days of the early 70s. The world outside might have been turbulent, but this record created a sanctuary, a place where melodies could soothe the soul. It remains one of the purest examples of soft rock's enduring power to calm, comfort, and connect.
Well, it's not far down to paradise, at least it's not for me.
As the 1970s drew to a close, Christopher Cross released his self-titled debut album in 1979, and with it, he quietly reshaped the landscape of soft rock. At a time when disco was fading and arena rock dominated the charts, Cross arrived with something different, a breezy, polished sound that felt like sunlight reflecting off calm waters. His voice, gentle yet confident, became the perfect vessel for an album that defined the late-decade shift toward what would soon be called yacht rock. The record's breakout single, Sailing, captured the essence of its sound. Tranquil, sophisticated, and almost otherworldly in its smoothness. But the album offered much more than that. Tracks like Ride Like the Wind balanced energetic rhythm with sleek production, while Never Be the Same showcased Cross's melodic sensitivity. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Cross built his debut on a blend of soft rock warmth and jazz-influenced sophistication, giving the record a timeless elegance that stood apart. For listeners, this album was more than a collection of songs. It was a mood. Boomers remember slipping it on after long workdays, its silky textures offering an escape from the stress of modern life. Gen Xers recall hearing it on car radios during summer drives with the windows down, the sound of Christopher Cross forever tied to warm evenings and salt air breezes. It was music that asked nothing more than for you to relax and let go, yet left you feeling like you'd just traveled somewhere far away. The impact was immediate and historic. The album earned Cross 5 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year, an astonishing feat for a debut artist. Critics praised its pristine production and Cross's clear, effortless vocals, while fans embraced it as both sophisticated and deeply comforting. It was a reminder that rock didn't always need to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes the quietest melodies carried the deepest resonance. Even today, Christopher Cross remains a landmark in the evolution of soft rock. Its songs have become staples of playlists that capture the smoother side of the 70s, the ones made for long drives along the coast or quiet nights with the turntable spinning. Listening now, you can still feel that sense of calm, as though the world slows down for just a moment when the needle drops. Christopher Cross didn't just close out the 1970s. It opened a new chapter for soft rock, one that leaned into elegance, escape, and emotional connection. It stands as a reminder that sometimes the most enduring music isn't the loudest, it's the kind that melts quietly into your heart and never leaves.
And you will find till he is dawning, but they catch you at the ball.
When Steely Dan released Aja in 1977, they elevated soft rock into something almost luxurious. Donald Fagen and Walter Becker weren't content with simple love songs or radio-friendly hooks. Instead, they crafted a record that fused rock, jazz, and pop into a seamless masterpiece. Aja was meticulous in its production, each note polished to perfection. But it never lost its soul. It was smooth, sophisticated, and endlessly replayable. The sound of late 70s soft rock at its most elegant. The title track stretched out into a cinematic journey, with winding solos and shifting moods that showcased the band's adventurous spirit. Peg sparkled with infectious grooves, while Deacon Blues carried a bittersweet poetry that spoke to anyone who ever felt like an outsider chasing dreams. What set Aja apart was its ability to blend complexity with accessibility. Listeners didn't have to be musicians to feel its magic, but those who were knew they were hearing something extraordinary. For fans, Aja became the soundtrack to sophistication. Boomers remember putting it on during evening gatherings, its sleek sound filling living rooms with a sense of cool refinement. Gen X kids recall hearing it in the background of their parents' dinner parties, its rhythms sinking into their memory even before they knew the band's name. It wasn't an album you shouted along to. It was one you absorbed, like a glass of fine wine. The album was both a commercial and critical triumph. It reached multi-platinum status, earned a Grammy for Best Engineered Recording, and secured Steely Dan's reputation as master craftsman of sound. More than that, Aja gave soft rock a new dimension. It proved the genre could be both deeply emotional and musically ambitious. Listening today, Aja feels like a time capsule of late 70s sophistication. Its grooves glide effortlessly, yet its lyrics still invite reflection and interpretation. Drop the needle, and you're immediately transported to a world of neon lights, late-night drives, and quiet contemplation. Few albums capture the balance of artistry and heart as perfectly as Aja. It remains not just a Steely Dan classic, but one of soft rock's crowning achievement.
On the dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair.
By the mid-1970s, the Eagles had already become one of America's most successful rock bands. But in 1976, they released Hotel California, an album that captured both the shimmering promise and the darker undercurrents of the decade. Smooth yet haunting, melodic yet unsettling, the record revealed the double edge of the California dream. It was soft rock with teeth, blending intricate harmonies and polished production with lyrics that spoke of excess, disillusionment, and a fading innocence. The title track became one of the most iconic songs in rock history. Its mysterious story and unforgettable guitar interplay pulling listeners into a world both alluring and dangerous. But Hotel California was no one-trick album. Tracks like New Kid in Town revealed the band's gift for melancholy balladry, while Life in the Fast Lane added a sharper, urgent edge to the record. Together, these songs created a complete portrait of the late 70s, glamorous, conflicted, and unforgettable. For many fans, Hotel California became a soundtrack to their own coming of age. Boomers remember hearing it on FM radio during nighttime drives down highways lit only by neon and headlights. Gen Xers recall the record spinning on turntables in living rooms, the songs drifting through houses as parents and friends tried to make sense of changing times. It wasn't just music, it was a mirror, reflecting both the hope and the shadows of an entire generation. The album's cultural impact was immense. Hotel California topped the charts, won the Grammy for Record of the Year, and solidified the Eagles' reputation as masters of melody and atmosphere. Yet beyond awards and sales, it left behind something more lasting, an aura, a feeling. To this day, listeners drop the needle and are instantly transported back to 1976, when the sound of layered guitars and soaring harmonies carried with them the weight of an era. What makes Hotel California so enduring is its balance. It gave us songs that could soothe, songs that could haunt, and songs that could still get stuck in your head after just one listen. It wasn't just an album of its time, it became timeless, one of the most definitive soft rock records ever pressed onto vinyl. As the final notes fade, Hotel California reminds us that the 70s were more than just a golden age of soft rock. They were a moment when music could capture both dreams and doubts, leaving us with echoes that still linger today. Long drives, quiet nights, and the memories that shaped a generation. Each one left a mark, reminding us that soft rock carried both comfort and power. Which of these albums takes you back the most? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more classic rock stories. Until next time, keep the vinyl spinning.